Welcome to Conspiracy Online. We're here in Cannatal, Austria at the annual UK board test, where we've been trying out some of the equipment that you'll see in store next year. We've put together this series of short videos to help you make the right decisions when choosing your boarding equipment. The main thing to know when buying a snowboard is that everyone is different, and while there are certain guidelines to help you buy the right board, there is never one rule that applies to all people. As you snowboard, you will develop different preferences for your type of riding, and the kit that's best suited for your individual progression. The first thing we're going to look at is boots. Our advice is always to buy your boots first. This is because they're the most technical and important part to get fitted correctly. Your boots are the key interface between you and your snowboard, so comfort is essential. We thoroughly advocate a full boot fit, so you need to go to your local snowboard shop to have this done properly. At Conspiracy, we take full measurements of your feet, including length, width and shape, as well as assessing any potential need for footbeds. Footbeds are good for collapsed arches, but will always provide better support to your feet, which improves comfort, performance and helps with injury prevention. Boots vary a lot in fit, which is why trying them on is essential. They also come in a variety of flex patterns, which are designed for different things. Soft flexing boots are generally better for jibbing, freestyle or beginners. They have less response but more manoeuvrability, which makes them forgiving if you fall over. Stiffer flexing boots are generally more freeride and speed orientated, offering greater response, but they are less forgiving, so not always suitable for beginners. There is no universal flex rating system as with sizing, but brands will always provide a chart to indicate where the boot fits in their range. The last thing to know is that most modern snowboard boots have customizable liners. This normally means that they will mold to your feet as you wear them, or can be heat molded in store by a professional. Boots should always feel quite tight when you first put them on, but here's how to check that it's the right fit for you. Always make sure you have both boots on and properly done up, with the tongue centred, as if not this can create pressure points on your foot and ankle. Tap your heel on the ground to make sure your heel is pinned into the back of the boot properly. Your toes may well be at the end of the boot at first, but as long as they're not curled up or crushed, then keep the boots on to test them fully. Walk about a little to warm up the liners, and try to feel whether or not the boot is too wide or too thin. If it's too thin, it will make your foot longer and change the size you need, and it will also be uncomfortable. If it's too wide, you will know by feel if there's loads of room around your foot. This may make them seem comfortable in the shop, but it will hurt on the mountain because it will strain your foot to move the board. Stand upright with your legs straight and feet shoulder width apart. This is the furthest forward your feet will go in the boot. Here your feet can be at the end of the boot, maybe even into the padding, but again, never curled or against the harder shell of the boot. Now bend your knees, flexing your weight into the tongue of the boot. Your toe should free up from the end, giving you a little bit of wiggle room. This is your normal riding position. Finally, roll from your heels to the balls of your feet to see if your heels lift out of the boot. Don't try to force your heels up because that will always be possible. Small movements in your heel will be corrected with your bindings, but excessive lift may mean that the boots are unsuitable. At Conspiracy, we do a 2-week home trial to make sure that you are happy with the fit of your boots. We have years of fitting experience, so please give us a call if you have any questions. When buying bindings, make sure that you have a good, professionally fitted pair of snowboard boots first. This is so that you can match your bindings to your boots for that perfect fit. Bindings are your support and feel through the board. They need to fit your boots properly for full performance. Bindings consist of a chassis, which attaches to the board, a high back to support your boots, along with toe and heel straps to secure you in the binding. There are 2 main types of binding, standard strap and step-in systems, which include various hybrids. As with your boots, bindings come in a range of different flexes. Soft flexing bindings are commonly aimed at freestyle, jib riding or for beginners. They have less response but more manoeuvrability, which makes them good for learning tricks or if you fall over. Stiffer flexing bindings are generally more freeride and speed orientated, offering greater response but are less forgiving, so not always suitable for beginners. As with boots, there is no universal flex rating system, but brands will always provide a chart to indicate where it fits in their range. Now you're fitting your boots and bindings together, here's what you should look for. Strap your boots into the binding, making sure it is pushed in fully, with the sole against the base and the heel pinned in. Check that the heel cup runs flush with the heel shape of your boot. If there is too much space around the heel, the boot will move in the binding before it turns the board, which is bad for comfort and response. Look at the bottom of the binding with your boot in to check that the heel and toe overhang equally. If the rest of the fit is good, unequal overhang can be compensated for when mounting bindings on the board. Lastly, make sure that when the heel and toe straps are done up, they're centred on the boot. Off-centre straps can cause damage to your bindings. Now that you've had your boots and bindings professionally fitted, we can move on to the fun part, buying your snowboard. There are 4 main snowboard styles aimed at different types of boarder. So what are they? Freestyle jib boards are generally aimed at riders who spend most of their time in the park. They make great boards for indoor snow domes and can be good for beginners. Freestyle or mountain boards are ideal for the aspiring freestyler who spends more time on piste than in the park, but wants to have a go at most things to progress their riding. All mountain boards cover everything, but they can lack certain features tailored for specialist riders. They have a good balance of stability at speed and a comfortable flex for trying new stuff. Freeride boards are designed for speed, response and powder. They can be great all mountain boards, but often more demanding in terms of technique, so generally not suitable for beginners. Along with the 4 snowboard styles, there are 3 shape types. These are true twins, which are symmetrical in shape, directional twins, which are twin in shape but have binding holes set back, and directional boards, which are not symmetrical, with a longer nose and a narrower, tapered tail. Snowboard profiles have changed a lot recently. The traditional profile of a board was always cambered, which means raised in the middle. Camber boards are generally for all mountain riding, with great edge-to-edge control on the piste. However, all the major snowboard brands now produce various boards that incorporate a reverse camber, popularly known as rocker. Rocker has various applications and is designed differently by each brand. They're generally better suited for freestyle or powder, but in different combinations can also be good all-mountain or beginner boards. Contrary to popular belief, there is no one specific size for any given rider height. There are many variables that affect the size you will need, including weight, height, ability, riding style and boot size. As a rough guide, UK 11 plus size boots will always require a wide board. Also, the length of your board will generally fall between the height of your collarbone and your nose. It is worth bearing in mind that shorter snowboards turn quicker, but are less stable at higher speeds, whereas longer boards are slower to turn or spin, but are more stable at high speeds. Beginners will generally opt for a shorter and softer board, due to them being easier for turns and more forgiving if you fall. Advanced riders require more response, so often prefer stiffer, more powerful boards. The most important thing to check once you've established which board is right for you is that you fit in the specified weight range for the size you are looking at. We hope that you found this video useful. We think that riding should be as comfortable as it is fun. The truth is, if you're riding gear that isn't tailored to your needs, it could be the difference between a painful time on the mountain and the best time of your life. If you're unsure about anything, please contact us. We know what we're talking about and the advice is free.